Ready to explore the latest trends in real estate? What are innovators in building planning for the future? The Ralph Bivens Project digs deep into the minds of key players in the industry and discussions with today's thought leaders. I'm Ralph Bivens. As a journalist who's covered the real estate and development industry for decades, I invite you to join me as we probe for new ideas and projects that will be making headlines soon. We love to ask hard questions to interesting people. When you've done over 100,000 interviews, you seem to get enlightening answers. Don't forget to download and review this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your audio inspiration. You can also watch and subscribe on YouTube or visit realtynewsreport.com. Welcome. This is Ralph Bivens with the Ralph Bivens Project. We're here today to talk to Scott Martin, Executive Managing Director at Granite Properties. They've got office holdings across the Sun Belt, and I believe in Boston too. But in a number of markets, they have office holding. And he is a market leader for Houston, and he's worked this market for a long time, Houston for a long time. And some of you probably know him from NAIOP, where he was president a few years ago, and that organization. And we're just glad to have you here, Scott. Thanks for taking time with me. Well, let's start. You got the experience. You've been working here in this market for 40 years. And what's the state of affairs right now in the Houston office market?
It's interesting, Ralph, because, in my 43 year career here in Houston in real estate, obviously I've seen a lot of cycles and patterns related with the real estate economy that, parallels a lot of times what the oil industry is doing. And, this cycle really feels a lot like the 80s. And, maybe not quite as immediately catastrophic, but it's like a slow play to catastrophe, where you see so many of these office buildings that are undercapitalized now, and with the debt markets, like they are, that a lot of these buildings aren't worth the debt they have on them, but a lot of the lenders don't want to deal with it right now. And those that are dealing with it are shocked at where their values are well below their debt balance. So, we've already seen some fairly large trades in the market, but not a lot of assets of significance are trading hands, and really don't see it happening for a while, probably into 2025. So I truly believe that we're in a bit of a stagnant period right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned the 80s, and of course back then, you had the S&L industry collapsing, and we had oil going down to nothing. And so office buildings were being foreclosed on left and right.
Right.
I remember being a journalist there downtown Houston. You get let's see how many foreclosures there's going to be next month, and big buildings just bam, bam, bam. And retail, the whole commercial.
Yeah. And
resident, everything is being. I've covered more foreclosures than probably anybody in the world.
Yeah.
Enough foreclosure stories. Maybe my old friend Steve Brown up at the Dallas Morning News. He may be up there with me, but it was just they were just happening over and over, and it was phenomenal. Yeah. But now I guess what you're saying is, well, the buildings may be underwater now, but the lenders aren't taking them back. Is that?
They're trying to as we say in the business, just kick the can as long as they can. But at some point in time, um, they'll have to deal with it and recognize it. And I think a lot of that can happen in 2025 when we begin to see more of it.
And that's not when the bottom feeders or whatever we call them come in and say, now hit the buy button.
They're already here
Okay.
looking, but again, there's just not price capitulation yet in the market.
That's we to go. Well, we don't. I guess we had to. I guess recently, that 777 Post Oak, we announced about Tillman Fertitta buying that building, announcing it last week, and that's kind of a Class B, I guess.
Right.
But we don't, and we're waiting. We know things are Greenway there's question marks over there, Greenway Plaza. Who knows what's going to happen next? It's kind of, and what the valuation? Okay, why are the valuations not falling farther, or have they you just don't have falling farther faster, or are they falling, but we're not reacting to it yet?
Yeah, there's people are not necessarily recognizing it. And again, if their lender is saying, okay, we'll extend your loan because we don't want, this asset back at this time, or just keep paying what you can. It just, again, it leaves the market in limbo. And then, when you've seen a few of the projects that have been foreclosed upon, and they go out to market and they can't get the price they believe they should get, so they pull it off the market and just kind of sit on it, for the time being. And again, that's just going to take time before they finally, say, okay, we just need to shed this and recognize the loss.
Yeah, I guess that will happen. That will happen at some point.
It will.
You can't go on forever. We've talked about. Well, I guess part of it is the issue of working from home. People home officing some, if they still come to the office 3 times a week, or not everybody's coming in every day anymore, and that's reduced demand for space. And that's how does that ever change?
Well, it's actually, I believe it's quietly shifting to where companies are recognizing that people are more productive in an office environment where they can collaborate, connect, mentor, train, versus the remote side of it. We're seeing utilization increase in our buildings. Yes, hybrid work is still going to exist, but I don't believe as dramatic as it has been post-COVID. You're just seeing that shift to more people coming into the office at least 3 to 4 days a week, and pushing more for 4 days a week is where I believe that it'll probably end up over time. But again, each company is unique depending upon what they do. And so it's hard to generalize, that everybody's going to start coming back to the office when they may not need to be in that face-to-face contact. But again, we're seeing a lot more people in the office. The garages are fuller than they were. Hallways are as well. So I believe that trend will continue. And if a company's productivity and profits begin to wane, well, guess what? They're going to say, I need you in the office.
Yeah.
So it'll just take time.
And you think about people like, new employees. You get a new job in a new company, and especially your recent grad from college, you get a new job in a new company.
How do you onboard? Remotely?
Oh man,
It's not very effective.
Yeah, you got to learn so much. You learn how to dress, you learn how to talk, you meet people in the building, all these things.
Well, we're finding that the younger folks that are just starting their careers want to be around us older folks to learn from us. And so, everybody talks about that younger generation. Oh, they don't want, they just want to stay at home and do their job. Well, there may be a portion of that, but the ones I see are like, I want to learn. I want to be exposed. I want to see how you handle a meeting in person versus, remotely.
But anyway, vacancies are still high,
Yep.
and we're not going to see that drop drastically anytime soon. And we've got the newer, better located buildings with more amenities and stuff. They are really, they tend to beat the competition. The older buildings and not as good locations, they lose. And so you've got that going on, and of course, whatever the latest things are in the technology, and having conference centers, all these kind of things, it kind of makes it where there's some buildings are obsolete. They already are, and I just don't see it if that's going to grow. What happens to all those buildings?
It's really the haves and have-nots, and then there's the bandwidth that's in between those two spectrums. It'll still be relevant, but a lot of our vacancy is in buildings, like you said, that are today functionally obsolescent, and there's really not conducive for office use anymore, and as a result will either be converted into something else or eventually torn down for land value. And to convert a building today, you hear of taking an office building and making a residential. Well, we've looked into that, and it is really costly. And the high-rise rental market rents that you need to get for those conversions right now don't appear to be achievable. So, I think that then forces some of these older buildings to just become land value.
That's scary. Who would think about tearing down the downtown Exxon building, 800 Bell, man? You think, God,
look at 1600 Smith. That building's a giant building, and I mean, like, I'm not sure what the building's worth today.
They go along. Yeah, I keep hearing him. You read over stories again and again, and about just the conversion is not only expensive, but the floor plate of the building is not conducive to becoming residential. Always, you got these dark spaces, and
or the window walls not. You don't get the floor to ceiling glass that residential people want.
Yeah, that's a problem. You got there. We'll see, but it's going to be an interesting time, and it's not going to be fixed overnight.
No, and again, this is a slow moving train
right now. But there are exceptions, in the market. What would you consider the healthiest submarkets in the Houston area?
Well, clearly, it's so funny how things can change on a dime in Houston, and that's just typical of its real estate history. I mean, I remember where West Houston was, years ago, not that long ago, was like, okay, that's the new graveyard. you know, and, those buildings are just tombstones out west. And then all of a sudden on a dime, things, perceptions change to the fact that there's a realization that people don't want to commute as far anymore. And so that's where the people live. And there was this explosion again in West Houston that you saw with, so many major corporations going out there and almost really creating a frenzy for space. And as a result, I mean, the energy corridor, became the hottest market in town.
You've got 3 buildings there, fortunately, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we leased last year 700,000 square feet in our buildings.
Wow.
And it's just amazing the activity and transition, towards the west has been phenomenal. I still, think the Greenway Plaza area is great. I like that. We've had a lot of success there, and obviously the Greenway Plaza situation inures to our benefit. From the standpoint of stability of ownership, and that's what we are able to provide people because we don't have any debt on any of our projects here in Houston.
Wow.
Yeah. So, they don't have that worry of who's going to be their owner, going forward. And can we pay their tenant finish allowance, and can we pay their brokers commissions? And yes, we can. And so that's inure to our benefit. But I do like the Greenway Plaza. And I think the Galleria is going to make a reemergence as well. You have Sarver that bought Post Oak Central and will use Midway Parkway to transition that. I'm hearing that the Apache land is under contract to a well-known group, and that'll help, transition some things. So I like the longer-term future for the Galleria. And then, downtown, it's so funny. Ralph, you remember back in the 80s when, we would see newscasts of hundreds, if not thousands, of people being escorted out of downtown buildings with their boxes, walking to the car, and then I remember everybody saying, downtown Houston's going to just become storage space, because nobody's going to go back there. And of course, it became one of our most dynamic markets. So I think that over time that will continue to bear out, as a stronger market. And then West Chase, I think also because it's so centrally located, between 59 and I-10 with the West Park toll road coming right into it. Long term, I think that's going to continue to be a solid market, even though it's had its dips here in the recent past.
They've got, West Chase. You got a lot of escape routes there, man. If traffic's bad, Bellway 8, boom, I'm going to get on West Park Toll Road. You got
Correct.
all these options to move around. That's pretty good. I didn't, it's interesting that you're see the potential in the Galleria. That was been one that's had its share of hard knocks.
And historically, I've not been a huge fan of it because I thought it was one of our largest markets. It was made up of predominantly small tenants, but there's just a lot of dynamics there, and I think with the resurgence and some investment dollars from high net worth individuals that can transform and revitalize the Galleria, which will attract more users.
I guess, construction. We have, I believe, Midway's broken ground on City Center 6. And, looking through the first quarter stats from everybody, and hey, that's the only thing that they consider the under construction right now. There may be a build to suit or somewhere, but it's just pretty unreal that nobody is building buildings. That sounds too responsible for Houston. It's like,
Yes, I mean, it's the reality is that number one, the cost of capital is so high, and office is a negative word in the capital markets right now. So very few people want to put money into office, for all the negative reasons that are continually expounded upon in the press. So you add that negativity with the high cost of capital, and then also the high cost of construction. That makes it really tough, to tell a tenant. I mean, we've got a 650,000 square foot building under construction in Uptown in Dallas, that we're now, I guess, about 54% pre-leased, and we don't open until July of 25. And Ralph, those rates we're getting there are $60 triple net. And so, if you're going to build a class AA high quality building, you're going to be in the 50s and 60s triple net, which is double, in existing buildings. So number one, you're going to have to find the capital to do it. And number two, you're going to have to find the people that really want to pay that.
But you've pre-leased a significant proportion of it. So that's pretty good this far out.
That's the only way to get something started without you doing it on an all cash basis, which we've done before.
Yeah, well, that's your company. You're all over the place. Big with a bigger national footprint than most people realize. A lot of us that work in South Texas, we kind of
right.
We almost think you as a local company. You're a stable figure here, but you're all over the place. And Southern California, even. It's what are you guys doing on a national strategy? What's your national strategy?
It's our perspective is that we're going to focus on, this is the stupid response, that we're going to focus on the best location, high quality assets to acquire as we see the price points coming down, and price capitulation in order for us to believe what we can make sense of it. And then we are looking for strategic land sites that we know development will return. And as we've always done in the past, we like to be prepared for when that market cycle turns, so that we have the land and we have a building designed. And so, we're basically looking for those two types of opportunities, office buildings to acquire, and new development sites to secure during this difficult time.
And a quality land site, the Uptown market in Dallas, where you're at right now, that's probably has some really fantastic qualities about it that makes it desirable for Class AA rents.
Yeah, you can't beat obviously that submarket. It's got to be one of the best, in the country right now. But again, West Houston, West Chase, Greenway area, looking in all those areas to, find those opportunities for future sites to control. So,
I think the buildings you have at Eldridge Parkway in the Energy Corridor west of Houston, uh, is there locations that you could make at Eldridge Parkway #4 or something like that?
no, we don't have the excess land to do that on that property. It would have to be another site that we would select.
Have you checked into that, the Conoco campus conversion? I guess Midway's doing that up there. I haven't been to look at it lately, but they have some, but they're tearing down some of the old offices, I think, and changing the mix, make it more mixed use. Have you, have you
Yeah, my hat's off to them. If they can pull that off, it's obviously a long-term project. But because of the side of the freeway that it's on and the lack of amenities over there, they will have to create everything. And if they're able to do that and have the patient capital to do it, then it should be a success. I'm rooting for them.
Yeah, it's an amazing site, and all the water features and all that stuff. When I was looking over your portfolio recently, that the West Alabama building, I guess a couple blocks east of Buffalo or something like that. That was some of the original turf where guys like Hines and Mr. Schnitzer were doing some of their first buildings right along in there.
Well, we bought it as the proverbial neighborhood building, across from St. John's High School and Lamar High School, and in between River Oaks and Westview. And then with the new RO development that's going on, I believe that, and we're only a block away from that. I believe that as that develops out, it's going to increase the probability of more customers wanting to be in that area. So I feel really good about, we went ahead and invested more money in redoing lobby and exterior areas, and with the belief that area is going to continue to increase in activity.
I'd heard, that even one of the RO buildings there, Transwestern's project on Buffalo, that Oxy was being mentioned as a possible tenant in there, which kind of
they bought the land, and my understanding is the landowner is the Friedkin family, the Gulf States Toyotas. So that it's like the Robert Sarver billionaire out of California. It's like the Schusterman billionaire that we invest for, and then the Friedkin. So those are the type of people that you're seeing do deals, because they have the wherewithal.
Yeah, they got some wherewithal, don't they?
Yeah,
they really do. But, so the timeline right now, just thinking about the market, well, it's got to adjust. The valuations got to adjust to, in reality, they hadn't quite gotten down to where we've got a comps, I guess you might even say, to figure out exactly what office buildings are worth now, and some of them will be obsolete. But you're thinking that by 2025 there'll be more clarity. Is that
I think so, because 24, think about it, we're going into this election and it's like, oh my gosh, it's going to be crazy. And so I just don't see a lot of companies making decisions during this next 6 months, going up, leading up to the election. So once they see who the new administration is, that maybe things will start moving and happening, because people hate uncertainty, and so uncertainty creates people to delay decisions until they're forced to. So our belief is that in 2025 we'll start seeing more movement and transactions on the office side of significance, and then positioning for future development that could come as early as late 26 or early 27. That's about as clear as my crystal ball can go with, Ralph.
You would think, more Republican administration and government being elected, that's going to be better for people that explore for oil and gas, and which we've got more diversified economy now than we had in the 80s, but still oil and gas take off, and that makes sense to make our office market better.
We are inevitably and forever tied to the oil and gas industry, though not as dependent as we were historically. But still, when you look at all the activity that happened in West Houston this last year, oil and gas related, so it moves the needle faster than anything. And what people don't like about Houston as an office investment is the volatility. But that's the thing I've liked the most, because if you're patient, if you're lucky of getting the timing right, you can buy at great numbers and sell it even better. So that volatility creates more transactions. But
there's an upside to volatility. There's it can go down fast, but with the other flip side is it can get better fast too. And
you need to know when to get out.
Yeah,
there's no doubt.
The guys that call that right come out okay. And right. You mentioned the energy corridor, like huge dip there, and then we got to it came back, and the fracking started happening, and we got maybe 10 or 12 years, and we got energy corridors, office buildings with 99% occupancy or something. It was nuts, and some new construction happened, and then that flattened out again.
Well, what you see, Ralph, is
even just the last couple of years, it's just amazing.
What you see is the energy companies, when things are negative and things, prices go way down, gosh, they shrink so fast to accommodate, and then suddenly they realize they've shrunk a little too much. And I can't tell you how many of these larger tenants out in West Chase and West Houston started out their initial lease much smaller and then kept growing, because they finally woke up and went, whoa, wait a minute, we can't stuff all these people in here. Yeah.
That's great. So you tell them there's hope out there. There's hope out there.
There's a better day coming, and I can point you back to 7 cycles over my 43 year career here in Houston to prove it. So it'll be back, no doubt.
Scott Martin, Granite Properties, great talking to you, man, and we'll be watching to see what Granite's doing here and elsewhere, and but appreciate you taking time to talk with me and today. And we'll be on. Be sure to everybody check out the website, no paywall, realtynewsreport.com, and you can also subscribe to my weekly newsletter. And a lot of people take that, and contact me and let me know what you're thinking. But Scott, thanks a lot, man, and
Thank you, Ralph. I've enjoyed it this morning.
you take care.
All right. Take care.